Good evening and welcome to the August 25th, 2020 meeting at Town Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy. Information on remote access to the meeting was sent via email to the Suburban Trends, Daily Record, and Record newspapers and posted on the Township website.
Excellent, thank you. Now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you, everybody. The clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mrs. Russell? Here. Mayor Hurd?
Here. Okay. For anyone that hasn't participated in one of our remote meetings, I'm going to ask Mr. Brewer to review the format of this meeting. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This evening's meeting of the Township Council is being held virtually via Zoom in an effort to keep everybody safe and provide access. The meeting has several points when public participation is welcomed. If any member of the public would like to participate, please indicate that interest by either raising their hand or mentioning in the chat function of Zoom that you would like to participate, and wait to be recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Okay, moving right along, there are no presentations scheduled for this evening, so we're going to go to reports from volunteers. At this time, if there are any reports or comments from any of the volunteers serving our community, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Mr. Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, no hands have been raised.
All right, so moving on, we're going to public comment. Next item on our agenda is public comments. Public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anybody wishes to address the council, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and provide your name and address for the record. Mr. Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, we have one hand raised.
Well, welcome. I see Frank. Frank, can we hear you?
35 West Franklin Avenue, Pequannock, New Jersey.
Good afternoon, Frank. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I see you guys are all okay.
Yes, thank you.
Actually, my question is for Dave. Dave, I sent you an email in regards to.
Gonna mention it tonight.
Oh, okay. I'll leave that up to you then.
All right.
I have some other questions, but we'll go over the items as they come up.
Okay, so you're not going to ask any questions right now, Frank, or wait till the second half?
Well, there's a couple of items that you're going to go over, but I don't want to jump the gun. I'll let you guys go over them, and then I'll present my questions.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Frank. Mr. Brewer, is there anyone else?
There is no one else, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so moving right along, we're going to the manager's report. Mr. Brewer.
Okay, a few items within my report. First, the township municipal buildings are currently open from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. for anyone to walk in. Staff is here regular hours, but this was part of the transition from having walk-ins restricted to appointment only. On September 1st, 2020, we will be returning to full regular hours for the public. So that will include the second Tuesday of the month being late until 7:30, and then the corresponding Friday after that, Tuesday, the municipal buildings close at 1 o'clock. So as of September 1st, back to quote normal, end quote.
So I'm sorry to stop you right there. Are people required to wear masks in there?
Yes.
And is there a limit on how many people you're bringing in there?
There's the governor's limit for indoor attendance is 25. We haven't had any events or anything scheduled where we figured we would draw a lot of people, so we're keeping an eye on it, but we haven't had a huge amount of people coming in.
Okay, because this is going to tie into town council meetings where how are you going to protect certain individuals? But we'll talk about that later.
Okay. Next item, the Township of Pequannock is pleased to welcome Frank Russo III as the township's next municipal engineer. Mr. Russo will begin on August 31st. He comes with 25 years of experience as an engineering serving municipalities. Most recently, he is the assistant borough engineer and zoning officer and land use board engineer for the borough of Madison. So Mr. Russo will be joining us in a couple of weeks.
All righty.
Fireworks. We had a discussion and the council identified the hoedown as the date that they would like to have fireworks. Following that discussion, there were conversations with the Board of Education based upon the use of the facilities for athletic activities. They're not available that weekend. Follow-up conversations to find out if there were any weekends when they would, or any dates that they could be available. And the response was that, nothing could be confirmed at this point because of how dynamic everything is and how much demand there is for the facilities. So we've run into a challenge where we have an event and we don't have a venue to hold the event. Within my report, I spoke to staff because I said, where else could they be? Apparently several years ago, there was a process undertaken with the fire official and other staff to figure out if there was another place in town where fireworks could be held. So everyone's aware you have to have a safety zone around the launch zone, access and egress for large amounts of people. And based on what I was told, again, I wasn't here for it, there wasn't anywhere else identified as a possible location. So,
Adam, can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
I know we had talked years ago about PV Park. There's no way to do it there based on the needs of what you'd need to do?
I would have to revisit the conversation with everyone who was involved. I talked to two people who gave me, confirming reports. In theory, you could launch them off of a barge. I don't know with the proximity of trees. I don't know with the proximity of the state highway. There's a lot of factors that would have to be reviewed.
Okay.
Would you get a barge?
Sounds like, yeah, sounds like we're going to postpone this until January 1st. I'm sure they don't have anything scheduled then.
Yeah, if the councils would prefer to have it, the New Year's Eve was one of the ideas that was thrown out, or January 1st can be an idea that was thrown out. I'm open. Obviously the high school athletic fields are more than likely not going to be active on New Year's Eve, but whatever the council's pleasure.
How much is the fireworks that we spend?
$15,000 or $16,000 a year.
I say we take half of this year's budget, put it to next year's budget, and do something special. Just move it to next year.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, we could instead of just trying to cram it in.
Yeah.
Agree
I'm
with
good.
that.
I'm good with that too. I mean, I would love to have it, but if we can
I would too, but
if we could make next year be, just that much more great, better, then maybe we should do that.
Okay.
Move it.
I agree.
Okay, that's the consensus. Thank you very much. I think one of the challenges when you have something that regularly happens the same time every year, trying to get all the things to work together becomes.
now
a
we're
bit
not
crazier
going
than
to lose
initially
any
thought of.
money on our deposit, correct, this year?
We will not. The fireworks vendor has said whatever our decision is, if we don't do anything, they'll carry the deposit forward for 2021.
Perfect.
And I like Dave's idea about, maybe taking half of what we would have spent this year and putting it into next year to make it just that much more special.
I got even a better idea.
It's funded through the recreation utility, so we'll have a conversation about the health of the recreation utility as we move further into the year. But we'll do everything we possibly can to at least preserve the deposit and add to it. And if we have other funds available, do that as well.
I know where that's going.
Yeah, right? Okay.
Step at a time.
The problem with that, Adam, is then we have a bigger fireworks display than everybody expects that every year.
You set the bar pretty high, absolutely. So
Well,
We'll see
need
if
to-
there's a way we can do it and make it work.
Yeah. Okay, moving right
Last
along.
two items in my written report pertain to items that also take place further on the agenda. We have the public hearing on 36 Hampton Avenue as a flood target acquisition, flood buyout acquisition, and the discussion item regarding the format for township council meetings. So unless there's any additional questions, thank you very much, and that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brewer. Next on the agenda are public hearings. Sorry. Mr. Brewer?
Yes, thank you. So we have scheduled for this evening a public hearing for the potential flood acquisition of 36 Hampton Avenue. This is a property that was previously a target many years ago. In my understanding, at the time, there was not a willing seller. Circumstances have changed, and there is now a willing seller. It is known as Block 4111, Lot 3. The current homeowner has pledged to donate the 25% match. The Morris County Open Space Trust Fund would fund the balance of the 75%. There would be some soft costs that would be eligible to be paid for through the Morris County Open Trust Fund as well. There may be a match required from the local element there, but the cost to the township for the acquisition and demolition of the home would be very small. So the program requires that a public hearing be noticed and held, and that has been scheduled for this evening. So my recommendation, I haven't read the cheat sheet, but my recommendation to the council, should they see fit, would be to open for public comment.
Okay. Are there any comments from council?
I just had one comment. I know this is one we tried to acquire before. Like you said, there was not a willing seller. I'm assuming it makes sense to, like you said, it's a small amount that the town has to lay out, but I'm assuming because of the area that this house is and the destruction, it makes sense to take this off the tax rolls, correct?
The virtue of the acquisition, or there are many virtues. The virtues of the acquisition are it is located in the Pompton River floodway, so it's
Right.
the highest possible threat for flooding. It is contiguous to Lyman Park, and it is on the same street as two other properties which were acquired when the township acquired property. So it won't create the broken window or missing tooth effect on a street. And
Right.
into the natural park that already exists.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is an easy one, and I'm usually against, taking incoming taxes off the roll. This one's very easy for us. It's practically free. It's right next to Lyman Park. It definitely will add to our community, without a doubt.
It's basically a no-brainer in my book.
Right.
Yep.
The one thing that we need to remember, what's the taxes on it, Adam?
Just shy of $3,000 a year.
And how much
Right.
of the 3,000 do we actually get? Maybe 1,000?
About 27 cents on the dollar.
The Board of Ed is going to be the one that's going to be losing more money on this than us. So I say,
Right.
it's a no-brainer. Go ahead.
No brainer. Yep.
All right, I have to agree with that. I mean, it makes sense as far as the location. It makes sense that it's contingent with our plans in the flood mitigation as well as Lyman Park. So makes
Agreed.
sense to me. Anybody else have any questions or comments on it? Okay, can I get a motion to open a public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Can I get a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on the grant application, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and identify yourself for the record. Mr.
Mayor,
Brewer?
one person with their hand raised.
All righty, come on down. Mr. Frank.
Guess who? Right.
Hey,
Frank
Frank, how you doing?
Spazeri, 35 West Franklin Avenue. Before I get to that 36 Hampton Ave, I have a question for Adam in regards to opening up the building. Will it be open for committee meetings in the evening?
This is a public hearing just on the issue identified, Mr. Spazeri, so it may behoove us to wait a little later in the meeting to discuss that.
Oh, okay. I'm a little confused here because we've tried to buy 2 other pieces of property that you all agreed that you wouldn't spend the money on, and here you are now, you're going to spend the money on another piece of property. So can somebody explain to me why this property is more important than the other 2 that we had?
How much is this property costing us?
Well, we had the one Woodland Lake, and we also had the one on Harrison that nobody wanted to spend the money on. And now you're going to spend $135,000, not totally yours, but you are going to go ahead and get a grant, which we said we could do for the other properties. And now one's okay and one's not. I don't get where you're all coming from.
Well, the one property, and Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, we were looking at about $350,000, and we still have a 25% match on that. So we were still looking at that plus demolition and other costs. So that would cost us at least $100,000. This property is going to cost us maybe $400 to $7,500, pretty much demolition costs. And is that correct, Adam?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact figures on the one property, but there was a property the township sought to acquire and negotiations broke down with the property owner, which was part of the issue. The other property, there were significant costs involved. To the mayor's point, the costs here, you know, I can't come up with an exact amount, but I think $5,000 would be a lot if we ended up spending that. And again, it's contiguous to a park and is a property that we really can't see transacting, which would probably end up being a blight on a neighborhood. So this is there are a lot of factors pointing to this being a wise acquisition.
The other 2 properties are also contiguous to other properties that we own. So that doesn't, well, in my book, it doesn't fly, but anyway. I guess I'm only one voice, but you guys have the last say.
We hear you, Frank. We understand. All right. Is there any other questions, Frank? Okay. If not, Mr. Brewer, is there anybody else that have any questions?
There are no more hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion to close the public portion of this hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Ordinances. There are no ordinances to schedule for introduction at this time.
Are we gonna,
Can we? Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of skipped over that one. Can I get a motion to adopt this?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R.
Wait, it's not. Sorry,
No.
hold on.
No,
I'm
wrong
getting-
one.
Wrong one. Hold on.
It's just a public hearing.
Yeah, it's a public hearing. Oops.
There's
The
no,
Resolution scheduled for consideration later.
On the next
Okay.
one. All right. Okay, so let's go. No ordinances at this time. Next on the agenda is resolutions. Mrs. Marsh.
for the council's consideration this evening, beginning with resolution R 2020-173, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. R 2020-174, to support a grant application in the Morris County Flood Mitigation Program for the acquisition of 36 Hampton Avenue, Pequannock, New Jersey. There's your resolution.
Yep.
R 2020-175, authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement between the Township of Pequannock and the Board of Education of Pequannock Township for solid waste and recycling collection services. R 2020-176, awarding a 5-year contract for solid waste collection services to Gator Recycling of Patterson, New Jersey, for the contract amount of $2,734,800 in accordance with the bid specifications. 2020-177, awarding a 5-year contract for recycling collection services to Gator Recycling of Patterson, New Jersey, for the contract amount of $1,168,200 in accordance with the bid specifications. R 2020-178, awarding a contract for vegetative waste collection services to Blue Diamond Disposal of Susquehanna, New Jersey, for the contract amount of $1,443,000 for a 5-year term in accordance with the bid specifications. R 2020-179, urging the Secretary of State and the county clerks to utilize in-person machine voting in conjunction with mail-in balloting in the general election of November 2020 and in all future elections. And R 2020-180, approving payment of the itemized claims is set forth on the August 18th, 2020 bill list and the 2015 FEMA elevation escrow list.
Okay, thank you. Just a one comment, Mr. Brewer, R 2020-176 through 178. That reflects the option B that we chose last time.
Yes, that is consistent with the council's direction to have 2 solid waste collections a week, 2 recycling collections a week, 1 for bottles and cans, 1 for paper, and to continue with vegetative waste once per week as it currently is.
And all 5-year contracts. And when does the contract start date?
Contract start date is November 1st, and yes, all our 5-year contracts.
Excellent. And then R 2020-179. After we approve this, are we going to be able to send this out to the other municipalities surrounding us?
Sure.
Excellent. Anybody else have any questions?
I had a couple of comments. I'm sorry.
Melissa, go ahead.
I guess there's not much we can do on, I'm looking at 2020, 177 and 78, I'm sorry, 76 and 77. I see the company that we're going with, which, you know, we all agreed to go with. I know that they do our recycling now and pick up, and we've had issues. Is there any way to hold their feet to the fire with these contracts?
Data does the garbage. The MUA does the recycling.
Oh, right. It was the garbage. I'm sorry. It was the garbage. But I know that we've had issues the last couple of weeks. Like sometimes, you know, people are putting out bulk items and they're not picking them up when they're supposed to. Is there anything we can do to correct that?
We've been in constant communication. There were some issues with people being out as well as trucks getting full. One of the challenges with everybody being home is a lot of stuff's getting cleaned out.
Yeah.
Some of the issues are created when a household of material is put at the curb. So that creates an issue. You know, there was a statement up on the website when the lockdown initiated, which really asked people to do things, you know, in a reasonable manner. You can't put out 10 bulk items at once as some people were doing. But, you know, I'll let Bob jump in if he wants to. Liquidated damages are prohibited from being included in solid waste contracts. So there's no financial penalty that can be assessed for a lack of performance. It's really just discussion and trying to communicate as much as possible.
There's also a new procedure for white goods, which is appliances. So if you don't know the new procedure, you put something out, it's going to sit there until someone tells you, hey, there's a new procedure that you need to follow. You need to call the health department and have them, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And most of the issues, I think, were because there was just a lot more garbage and bulk items out. So I know there was some issues, but that's probably why the trucks were full. All right.
Yeah. And it's having dealt with this in a number of communities, it is an imperfect search. There are always going to be some challenges, and there's some issues that are reasonable and others that may be a little unreasonable, but we just work to try to communicate effectively, and they're always responsive when we do speak to them. Sometimes they can be a little quicker, but you know, we just try to communicate as much as we can.
My garbage just got picked up at 6 o'clock tonight. Usually in the morning.
I actually think they've done a pretty good job. I know sometimes it gets where they come back the next day. I think people get nervous when it isn't, you know, right away. They're like, oh, my garbage hasn't been picked up. And I'm like, if it's not picked up today, it'll get picked up tomorrow. And they've always been there. And people have to realize, especially after a holiday, or, you know, if a pickup was missed because of, you know, a holiday, then it's going to take them a lot longer, and they may need 2 days. For the most part, I'm actually very happy with the garbage pickup.
Yeah, no, for the most part, I am too. And I think it was just, I had a personal experience, not at my household, but where some bulk items sat out for 3 weeks. But it's because it was just overlooked or whatever. So, okay.
Adam, we're going to be doing a educational component here because we have tweaked things just a little bit. So can we put in there about the bulk items being on Friday and white goods and all that other wonderful stuff?
Yes, we're gonna be doing a mailing to identify the transition from single stream to dual stream in an effort to mitigate the costs that went up 74%, as well as some educational materials. So we'll definitely include the white goods procedure, as well as the continued request that people not put out, you know, an entire curb length of material.
Yeah, a 10-yard dumpster of stuff.
Have we decided what days we're going with yet?
It's in the specification. I believe it's Monday, Thursday for both garbage and recycling.
Okay.
And
So-
vegetative waste.
All right, so let me ask you a question. With the MBA, if there was a holiday on a Monday, you were out of luck, you didn't get it until the following week. Is GATA coming the next day? Did I see that in their contract?
The opposite. The MUA currently would try to get there the next day, which we discussed when the options were identified. And the MUA at times would create a little bit of a debacle because they didn't have the manpower to get there the next day. So the specification, as discussed when we put it out, skips that. You know, we have the 2 collections per week.
Okay.
So now we'll know if their collection is skipped unless there's specific if their collection is missed for inclement weather or a holiday, unless there's specific notification put out on the township's website, that collection is skipped.
So if it lands on a holiday or if it snows, don't put it out the next day. Then it's
Correct.
going to be the next time that they're scheduled to pick up.
We'll put
Correct.
that in the info that we're sending out.
We will be, yes.
Thank you.
And then the obvious exception, like I said, could be if there's a situation around the holidays where based on how everything falls, you don't want someone going 3 weeks, 4 weeks without having the material collected.
Right.
So we might have to create a unique circumstance there, but we would do our best to notify everyone.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from council?
No.
Seeing none, is
There's
there,
no way if they're not picking up because of
because of what? I didn't
snow
get
that we could. There,
You broke up there, Councilwoman Russell.
yeah, because I can't hear, for some reason, my internet is going wacky. So there's no reason, is there any way we can send out or put on our website, if it's gonna snow, don't put the garbage out or?
We do very early.
Okay,
Yeah, if it's going to be canceled for inclement weather, we get it up usually before 6 or 7 o'clock.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
All right, is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2020-173 through 2020-180.
I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Lawrence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Phelan,
Yes.
Mrs. Russell,
Yes.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is items for discussion. We're talking about council meeting format. Mr. Brewer.
Yes, as the mayor allowed me to explain the format of this meeting at the outset, this meeting is being held virtually via Zoom. So one of the questions that the council made a decision previously to hold virtual meetings throughout the summer and agreed to revisit the issue. So we're now revisiting the issue of what format the council would like to hold their meetings in moving forward.
Wow, that went quick. So here we are, end of August, going to be September pretty soon. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm kind of for keeping it like this at least through September. Let's see what happens with the schools starting up and whatnot. When I stopped by to sign a bunch of stuff at Town Hall, I did take a peek upstairs and I'm trying to figure out how do we get all of us in there and out, and that's not even considering public. For my thought process, this is much easier for the public to be engaged as well. I'm not quite sure how we would do it. Would we have 7 different cameras on us if we went up there? So I think we should keep like this at least through September. What is everybody else's thought?
I agree with Ryan. Unfortunately, I have to be a little bit more careful around people because of a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
And of my age, I love Dave dearly, but I would hate to have a plastic shield between the two of us.
True, good point.
I agree. I'm
You
fine.
agree?
Yeah, I'm fine with staying for September, revisiting it. You know, I'm even fine, if we want to do it for the next couple months, and if something changes at the end of September, then we can do something, we can make the change for October. But, just doing it for September, we're going to be talking about it again in, 4 weeks.
Unless they come up with a vaccine or something, I can't envision us with plexiglass between all of us and us wearing masks. I can't see it. I watched the school board and that was a joke in my opinion.
I say we make the approval to go to the end of October with the clause that if something changes, we can go back to regular meetings, at the drop of a hat,
Right. I would love to sit next to Dave. I love him dearly. What, you understand, Dave, right?
I do.
And the other thing too, as far as town council compared to school board has a lot more room to play with. Where when we start looking at all the restrictions, we really don't have room. That's the biggest issue. So I agree with you guys. We can hold off until January 1st.
Thought about that.
Go ahead.
I
I'm sorry.
thought about that and I said, maybe we can go to the high school. But then I said, I don't think the high school is going to want people in and out of their building. That doesn't need to be there. And technically,
If I'm not mistaken, the school board still doesn't have the public coming in. They're the only ones there, correct?
I think they did have one meeting that the public was allowed to join in.
All right.
I think they're still also doing Zoom meetings. I'm not
Right, because I was I'm fine with keeping it this way, but I was thinking if we were going to meet in person, how you could do it. The only option I came up with was you could technically not have the public come in, you tape it, so you have it like a Zoom meeting. I'm not saying that we should do this, but I was trying to think about it. You could actually turn the camera around and put it up front and have everybody spaced out in the seats in the room and turn it the other way.
How do you restrict the public?
Huh?
How do you restrict the public?
Yeah.
You still have to do it via Zoom.
No, you would do both. You would do
We
it
do now.
Yeah,
We have four people on tonight.
right.
That's
Here-
about
here-
that's more than we usually have.
Yeah.
Here's my problem,
Go ahead, Kyle.
which I agree, if you guys want to push it till September, but we expect all of the people that work for the town, the tax people, they work next to each other. Everybody works. The DPW works. I believe they drive in trucks together. You have, and then we're saying, well, we're not going to go back. So
Yeah, but
I get giving it to them.
They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're actually subjecting themselves to getting sick. And I have a serious problem with this. You're not going to put plexiglass between me and Dave. And
I know. Well,
you're not going to do it. If you don't do it,
the CDC said Dave can't get it for 3 to 6 months because he's already had it. So he can't get it or give it according to the CDC guidelines.
But Rich can get it. What are you going to do about that?
No, Rich can get it, but Dave can't give it. Dave can't give it. But, neither here nor there. I'm okay but waiting. But we can't say we're going to wait till a vaccine. We can't say,
No.
that's just ridiculous.
We're going to take it
in. We take it month by month. Adam, do you have the virus antibodies in you?
I don't know if I do. And
okay, so you can't say.
If I could just for clarity's sake, the staff is all structured in a way that they're distanced from each other or there's partitions, and DPW do not drive in trucks with multiple.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure whether,
I just want to make sure the public knows that the work environment is structured to mitigate the transmission of the disease.
Right. I thought I saw two guys driving together, no?
I hope not.
And still, with us, we're also talking.
It's supposed to be.
And with us, we're also talking about ourselves as well as the public. We do have a duty for both. How do we facilitate the conversation?
I'm just saying, and I mean that room is fairly big. I agree you guys want to wait, but you know how I feel. There's 221 people in the hospital out of a state of 9 million right now.
I get it. Baby steps. So let's figure that we're going to revisit this in the next couple of months, and hopefully something changes for the positive side and we can get in there before January. I'm fine with that.
What are we agreeing to? Are we agreeing that we're going to say that we're going to do Zoom until the end of October unless something changes?
I would say the end of September. Let's do it month by month.
Yeah, I've kind of heard. Yeah, some people have said September, some said October, some said till the end of the year. So let's decide. Are we doing it month by month?
There's no
do
sense
it month by month. Again, do it month by month. But you're gonna it's not gonna change for a while, guys.
Yeah.
Because we also get into flu season, and one of the questions is, how do you tell the difference between flu and COVID? So,
if I could interject with one other thing, I did go in and there were measurements taken of the dais. The dais is 27 feet long. So unless we erect partitions, 4 people don't actually fit on the dais. And then you would have to have the staff, Bob, myself, Carol, and Bob sitting down in the pit. So access and egress becomes a little bit of a challenge. So if the council wanted to do stuff in person, I would suggest, we put a tent up.
Trial run.
Go talk to the high school or explore some options. That room, because of the posts, the fixed seats, and the size of the dais, presents certain logistical challenges.
And the other thing is, Rich is concerned, and I agree with him, but, my concern is who had it that we don't know that had it?
Good point.
We all know that I had it, but who else had it that we don't know about that could be standing next to Rich or any one of us, or who has it that has no symptoms that's standing next to us? So
there's actually been no documented case of an asymptomatic person transmitting. Yes, it happens, but it's so rare that they discount it now. But I get it. Rich has to be careful. I totally get it. But
if I was a betting man, I'd say that I got it from an asymptomatic person in my family.
So Adam, why don't we put on for the first week of October? So that'll give us 2 full meetings to go through. Let's see what happens with the kids going back to school, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll revisit October and then make a decision or just, again, push it again. Does that sound good, everybody?
Yeah, that's fine. Adam, I have one quick question regarding committees. I know some of them have, are itching to go back and meet in person. Do they have to follow the same guidelines that the council does, I'm assuming?
The council has the ability to set the policy. My concern with committees meeting, again, is where and
right.
how.
Okay.
If the Flood Control Advisory Committee wanted to have an outdoor meeting in an area, the fall's coming up and it's beautiful, and they were able to do that in a responsible way, again, it's up to the council to set the policy, but if there's a way to do it safely, my recommendation to the committee and the council for consideration would be, if they can do it in a way that it's safe and everyone's comfortable, that's fine, but it's a challenge indoors.
Okay.
I agree. And they would really have to use the larger rooms. So I would say right now, if they can do it outside, that would be the best bet. And then as it gets colder, you're gonna have to figure it out.
Okay.
So just so I can confirm my understanding of the consensus. So the consensus is it'll be scheduled for discussion in the first meeting in October?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is anticipated to be held virtually?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Moving right along, there are no reports or notices. Next on the agenda is council reports and announcements. So we'll start with Councilman Florence Lynch.
I really don't have any announcements, just that the Economic Development Committee is meeting tomorrow night, definitely. The agenda did go out, and they will be meeting tomorrow at 7:30. Other than that, I didn't have anything. I did see we got an invite from the freeholders about the September 11th Remembrance celebration. That's actually going to be held on Sunday, September 13th. And I wondered if anyone was going to that. I was planning on trying to go, which also led me to wonder if we're doing anything in town. I guess that's usually run by, I don't know if Unico usually runs it. Has anybody heard anything?
I haven't.
I haven't heard anything one way or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I know it's challenging times, but they might. I don't know if they're going to try to do something. I was just curious.
I'll go on the 13th.
Yeah, I'm going to on that Sunday. Maybe we can all ride up.
Carol,
All
you want to let Michelle know that Ryan, myself, Melissa right now will be going?
Ryan, Dave, Melissa?
I did respond to Michelle as well, so.
Okay, I'll let her know if you don't.
Mm-hmm. All right, Melissa, is that it?
Yeah, I was just, maybe I'll just reach out to Unico and see if they're planning on doing it, just so we know. I mean, because of course they're going to have to, do it in such a way like we did that other event on, Okay.
You can still live stream it. Maybe give them that idea if they want to live stream it and have a couple people there. I'd be it for it.
Good. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilman Cole.
All right, first thing I wanted to ask is the shred day. Has that been advertised or will that be advertised? I know the health department usually put it on Facebook, but now I understand that it's under DPW. Can the health department still advertise it for us? Because I haven't seen it.
Yes, it's on the township's website. If it hasn't put up on Facebook, I'll follow up with staff to make sure we do what we usually do.
Perfect. The second thing that I want to bring up that Frank has, brought to my attention, Montville, Boonton, and Lincoln Park has sort of formed like a grassroots group to go challenge some of Optimum and Cablevision's service. And I think, you know what? I think we should reach out to those 3 towns and find out what they're doing, if it's a resident or if it is the towns. And I think we should band together. And you know what? The service that they are providing is horrible.
What service?
Yeah, right. And it seems like they really don't care. I know, Adam, you've reached out to, or you've emailed our rep for the town. Find out who the person above that person is and tell them, you know what? We need someone to sit down, to come to a council Zoom meeting and talk to us about the quality of the service that they're providing and the cost of the product that they're providing to us. I mean, it's getting out of hand. I mean, I know it's probably just a matter of 3 or 4 years before, cable is out and there's some other form of the way we're going to get internet and TV, but 3 or 4 years, I'll tell you what, I mean, there's a number of people that I know that have to go and reset their modems every day to get their internet to work. And
Yep.
that's unacceptable.
I would recommend that we reach out to the Board of Public Utilities, which is the overarching authority over the regulated utilities, of which Cablevision is one. I think we would find more success talking to the regulators than an internal person who would probably give us a party line.
I hope so, but I mean, I believe Adam and I spoke about this. Not one of our phone calls have been returned whatsoever, and I have
Or email.
I have a list of at least 27 residents, including myself, that has filed a complaint with BPU against Cablevision and Optimum Stash. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. They are responsible for quality of service. They're not providing a quality service. They're not even providing phone calls or responses. Unacceptable. So I am 100% with you, Dave.
Definitely paying for quality service, but we're not getting it.
No,
Nope.
we're not.
Not even a phone call from township officials just to find out what's going on when we have an event like the hurricane that came through. I hate to say
Would
it.
you mind just giving me those list of towns again? And from a municipal perspective, I'm happy to reach out to my counterparts at each of them.
It's Lincoln Park, Boonton, and Montville.
I know all of the other administrators well.
Yeah, I mean,
Excellent.
I don't know. They mentioned a guy by the name of Matthew Kane, Kayne.
He's a township committeeman in Montville.
Okay. And then they mentioned Dave Rumfeld from Lincoln Park, on this Facebook feed that, has been going around. So, they're talking about, joining together and the power of the more people, the better results they're hoping that we get. So, I mean, I can share the whole thing with you. I can try to copy and paste the whole thing and send it to you as an email.
Okay. And I'll follow up with my counterparts because Dave Rumfeld is the mayor of Lincoln Park. So I'll reach out to the administrator of each town and see if we can join the fight.
Okay. Appreciate it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, Councilman Phelan.
I don't really have anything other than Company 2 had a Zoom meeting last week. Other than that, everything's quiet.
Okay, thank you. And then Deputy Mayor Russell.
Yes. The health department, we had asked that they update on recovered cases, and they haven't updated since June. People are asking for those numbers. So if he could just put in the amount of recovered cases on that link that he had. It
I'll
says
have
my
the
internet
statistics updated that are
connection
posted, yes.
is unstable. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Because you are all frozen.
We hear you, but you're frozen as well.
I didn't hear that. Okay, because all of a sudden everybody froze.
Because
Number
you said
two,
Cablevision.
yeah, right.
Touche.
So number two, during PV Park, I think 2 of our umbrellas were not closed and got damaged. Did we ever find out what the disconnect was there, that some umbrellas were closed and some umbrellas weren't?
The issue was discussed with staff, and there will be a plan created at the end of the season to deal with inclement and hazardous weather with specific direction on what has to happen and when.
Okay, sounds good.
I say we take the other half of the fireworks from this year and we buy some more umbrellas for PV Park.
Well, that'd be fine, but we have to make sure that people take care of them, you know? Like, I took all my umbrellas down and put them in. I was kind of surprised that, and it was weird because half of them were put down and half of them weren't. I didn't know if there was a problem putting them down or what the disconnect there was, but there was somebody missed something, but.
We got to make sure. If it was something that was broken, we got to be on it and take care of it. So, all right. Anything else? All right. So myself.
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's see. I want to give a big shout out to the new Gulf Station on Newark Pompton Turnpike. From a commercial location, they did a great job remodeling this place. It looks beautiful outside. They just planted all new plants. They also did sod. So thank you very much. That's what we like to see in town, and I really encourage all the other business owners and commercial property owners, if we could maybe put a couple of bucks into something like that and help beautify our town and, you know, believe in it. We've got a beautiful town. So I want to really, I run past it every day and it looks great. So thank you very much. I also want to say it's that time again, you know, soccer and scouts. So let's get everybody into Parks and Rec signing up. We've got a very robust soccer, and we always have. Hopefully our signups are reflecting that. It's still going to be a great season. We're going to be responsible, obviously, but we can still play games, which is good. And I believe, you know, being fit and being healthy is very important, especially with the kids. I think giving them some kind of normalcy compared to what has happened and what may or may not be happening going forward, I think that'd be great. So let's get those kids out, scouts, soccer, anything else. That's a little bit of normalcy there. I also want to give the township a big to-do. I don't think anybody really talks about this. Adam, you and I spoke about it, but as a township, Pequannock, we have executed on all of our to-do list. I mean, through COVID, through the end of the world, through all of this chaos, through hurricanes, through everything that has been thrown at us this year, you still have a township that is doing what they need to do. And that's from reacting as well as the normal, you know, taking care of paving and milling and water and everything else. DPW is out there doing their thing. So although we've had all these things thrown against us, I commend council making decisions, moving forward. I commend you, Adam. I commend all the employees. I mean, this is really everybody pulling together that, you know, we opened PV Park. We still had all of our things at Greenview Park. We're enabling all of our businesses to be open as much as possible. So I want to really thank everybody in the town and give kudos where it's due. And I don't think we talk about that enough. So Adam, all the employees, council, we're doing what we're supposed to do. We're doing what we're getting paid to do, but I still say thank you. Other than that, that's all I have. So let's move right along. Back to public comment. If anybody wishes to address the council, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and provide your name and address for the record. Mr. Brewer.
We have one hand raised, Mr. Mayor.
Come on down. It is Frank. Hello, Mr.
Yeah, it's
Frank.
me again.
How are
Frank's
you
doing
doing?
35 West Franklin Avenue. The question I was going to ask you, Adam, I guess was answered when the council went all over that changing their meeting. So I guess we'll have to have our meetings either outside or in some bar somewhere if they find one open. The next question.
State order for that.
Yeah, right. Go over to Suffern or Mawa or Warwick. Anyway, in regards to the garbage and the solid waste and the Blue Diamond, what will be the cost increase to families for this contract that's coming up? Do we know?
Yes, that was reviewed in significant detail at the last council meeting.
Sorry, I didn't make that one.
That's okay.
We missed you.
Is it available on paper? You don't have to give it to me. I can pick
Yeah,
something.
if you want to pop in, I'm happy. There was a PowerPoint presentation that was a part of the council agenda at the last meeting that includes the information. But Mr. Spizzeri, you're welcome to stop by and I can make you a copy.
Okay.
Frank, just know that we got one bid for garbage.
Only one bid. Well, yeah, because Gator's got the place sewed up. Where else? Who else is going to come in here?
Yeah.
You know what'll happen to him? He'll end up with, the union guy.
Swimming with the fishes.
Yeah.
There you go,
All right.
Frank.
I guess we're going to buy that 36 Hampton Avenue from what you passed the resolution. So when will that take place?
We're going to proceed with the Morris County program. So the application will be submitted with the resolution, and then due diligence, as you're more than familiar with, will commence. And, as soon as practicable, we'll get to closing.
Did Morris County say that they can allocate the money now, or they have to wait till a particular time in the next year?
Now, the flood buyout program is different than the traditional open space program in that it's rolling with no specific deadlines.
All right, so they still have
application in soon.
They still have funding. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
All right. I guess that's it, guys. Nice to see you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good night, Frank.
We hear you.
All right, does anybody else have their hands raised?
Yes, sir.
All right, come on down. I see Stacy.
Stacy Ann Webb, 289 Boulevard. How you guys
Hey.
doing?
How are you doing, Stacy?
Good. In reference to the fireworks, I really think that this township needs to celebrate the end of 2020 and the incoming 2021. I would much rather see that than spend half and put it towards next year, because then you're right, people are going to expect that every year. You know what they say on Facebook. No matter what you do, it's never good enough, but I think it would be something that would, maybe inspire people in a positive way for the new year. And I think a lot of people might need that. COVID has affected everyone in a great way, not positive. So anyhow, also for the committee meetings, I know at Shade Tree, what we did in July, we actually did a walking tour of an area that had a tree that had a couple of trees with concerns. And we did it outside. We socially distanced. Those that wanted to wear masks, wore masks. It was good to see people in person, where this scenario works really well for everyone to be able to see you all. And we can use Zoom, the Zoom forum for meetings as well. Just not everyone that's a member is up on technology enough to, make it function in a decent amount of time. So I say, for while the weather is still good, why couldn't, if it's a small enough committee meeting, meet around the gazebo or meet in the parking lot, put up a tent with some tables with everything socially distanced in a smart way. That might be a way to go.
That sounds good. I think I agree with you, Stacy. I think a lot of people can't wait for 2020 to be over.
Yeah. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe one of the places we can meet is in the library. They have a lot of space. Kyle, do you guys meet in person in the library or? I mean, you got inside, you got outside. Uh-oh, you're on mute.
They only allow 2 people at a time on the library right now. So I don't
Maybe
think
for
the library
meetings.
will be meeting in person until maybe, I don't know when.
All right, we're gonna have to ask that. All right, Mr. Brewer, is there anybody else? Just to make sure.
No, sir, I do not see any other hands raised.
Okay, moving right along. Next on the agenda is minutes for approval. We got July 28, 2020, August 11th, 2020. Is there any comments on the minutes? Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make that motion to
Can I get a-
approve from July 28th and August 11th.
Can I get a
I'll
second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent. All right, next on the agenda is closed session discussion. Mr. Usyk, will you please explain the procedure for holding the closed session?
Sure, Mayor. This is the point of our meeting where the council goes into executive session to discuss matters that are confidential and not available immediately to the public. Because of the forum we're using tonight, the Zoom meeting, we obviously don't have the ability to ask folks to leave the room, but what we do ask is that folks leave this virtual meeting. I can say that after the conclusion of our executive session, no official action will be taken and our meeting will be concluded. So there is no need for folks to be concerned that any other public matters will be discussed tonight. And with that, Mayor, I think we just need a motion to go into executive session.
Excellent. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R 2020-181, authorizing the Township Council to meet in executive session to discuss contract negotiations related to the sale of municipal property, shared court, and fire official services?
I'll make that
I'll
motion.
make that motion. I'll
Minute to
second.
Kyle?
I'll
Wait a
second.
second. Kyle, did you do a first on that one? Rich, did you second that? There we go. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, at this time, I'll ask everyone to adjourn the meeting. I'll give approximately 30 seconds, and anyone who hasn't left the meeting, I will adjourn for them.
All righty. We are back in public session. Mr. Usyk.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. In tonight's executive session, the council discussed the bids that were received for the sale of township property at 1990 Village Road. And a decision was made to have the manager prepare a resolution for the next meeting, rejecting all bids and authorizing a rebid with a minimum. Secondly, the issue of an interlocal agreement for shared court services was discussed, and the manager was given authority to proceed with an analysis of the benefits and potential detriments of that arrangement. We'll report back to the council. Finally, the potential for a shared service for the position of fire official was discussed, and again, the manager was given the authority to engage in an analysis of the possibilities and report back to the council. And that was our meeting tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Usyk. All right, there being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Rich, second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good
Excellent.
seeing
Thank
you.
you, everybody. Meeting adjourned at 8:18 p.m. Have a great night.
Guys.
Good night, folks.